So we have this one polyp tank here that has all these acrylic rods or slides inside of it that has polyps attached to them. And they're all suspended on these wooden and PVC dowels. And I'd like to get those moved over right away. So one of the first things I need to do is skim the surface of the tank to get some of that debris out of there. I think I'll end up putting those polyps in this polyp tank here as opposed to this one here, only because there's more schmutz in here that I need to work on getting cleaned out. Whereas this tank is fairly clean on the inside. I just, again, need to skim the surface.
To skim the surface of the water, we'll use a wide-mouthed container, in this case a plastic mixing bowl. We'll immerse the rim or edge of the plastic mixing bowl just underneath the surface of the water, allowing the organics that have collected at the surface to skim off into the bowl. And with the new location prepared, we're going to go ahead and move the PVC rods that have the acrylic slides dangling from them. It's these slides that contain moon jellyfish polyps from the initial system. We'll jiggle them just slightly so that we can brush off some of that loose debris or algae that might be growing on them. Why transfer that over if we don't need to? We've now arrived at the face of the new tank and discovered an issue. We don't have enough clearance to lift the acrylic slides high enough to get them over the edge of the tank. But with some determination and a bit of wrist bending, we are successful, and the acrylic slides arrive at their new location. We'll go ahead and align this perpendicular to the water flow in the polyp tank so that we can go ahead and add the other 11 groups of dangling polyps.
So we now got all of those acrylic slides with polyps attached to them hanging or dangling into the polyp tank. And the idea being that the water coming in from that line back there flushes everything this direction, ultimately through that little outlet up there, and then into this side where we can at least draw them out with the turkey baster. The whole motivation here being, why have two separate systems costing X amount of dollars each month when we can combine them all into one much more financially manageable system. So here's one of the other things that I'm having a little bit of a hard time with, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but those orangey, beigey little white things, those are polyps that are actually on the inside of this tank here. I don't know if we can really see them any better. See them there? They're in that clear area right there between the algae badges. Anyhow, I'm going to go in there and remove those because those are obviously beneficial. It does kind of stop me from shutting down the system, and I'm not necessarily going to unplug the pump. I was wanting to turn down the refrigeration unit. But here's my dilemma. If I move them over to the other system, you put them in, they're loose, there's a current, they get floated around, they never really do attach. Whereas over here in this original system, this is what I call the little water table, shallow tank for lack of a better description. It receives water out of the system, fills a shallow little area up, and then overflows out that standpipe. And here you see a few more of those acrylic slides. Well, you put the acrylic slides in there, and then you take the polyps from situations like what we have over there, scrape them, remove them, and pour them in here and allow them time to attach to the acrylic slide. And then I could lift them up and put them in that polyp tank up here, or as we did on the other side, moved them over to that other polyp tank. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and scrape these out of there. At least I can collect them. I am going to pour them in here. Keep in mind my motivation is to decrease the electric bill. So I believe what I can do is scrape them, get them over here, adjust the temperature up. That's not going to kill them. It may actually encourage them to attach faster. But ultimately the goal is to get them on those acrylic slides where we can move them into the other system. So let me show you how I'm going to go ahead and do this.
Hello, my name's Jim Stime. I'm with MyFishTank.com. I'd like to take and show you the advantages of a Clear for Life acrylic aquarium. In a glass aquarium, the top is typically completely open with a couple of independent lids that you can lift out of the way. Other than some support structures, the top of the tank on a glass tank is typically completely open. Whereas on an acrylic tank, for structural integrity, the top panel is a solid top panel and the openings are cut out from that panel itself. Hey there, my name's Jim Stime and I'm the LA Fish Guy. Did you know that before YouTube came along, I attended MACNA 4, 7, 8, 9? I hosted MACNA 10 and exhibited at MACNA 15. Well, the good folks at the Greater Iowa Reef Society had decided they want the LA Fish Guy to be at their conference. So be sure to sign up for next year. That's September 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2011, and that'll be in Des Moines, Iowa. I'll see you there.
So what we're going to do is we've got a little bowl here, a length of airline tubing, and one of those acrylic slides. And we're going to create a siphon with this airline tubing. We'll have the suction end here right at the tip of this acrylic slide. We'll use that as a scraper and we'll siphon that down into this little bowl here.
So you can see here that the little airline siphon tube is actually quite effective at sucking off the debris that we're basically stripping or chiseling away from the inside of the tank.
And as you can see, there's a collection of algae, schmutz, and jellyfish polyps sitting down there at the bottom. We'll allow this to settle out, and then we'll use a turkey baster and try to separate the polyps from the debris in there.
We'll deposit them in that wet or water table we showed you earlier, allowing them to adhere to those acrylic slides that ultimately will end up back into the new system. So be sure to come on back for part 3 as we go ahead and start preparing or modifying the new system so that it's more effective or efficient in distributing its water flow and causing the loss of less jellies and hopefully keeping more debris out of the tanks.